But Gator, the Anthony Davis story in the NBA is really intriguing. For people who haven't been following what's going on, I think this is a real question about when does a league cross the line? Anthony Davis is under contract for the rest of this year and next year with the New Orleans Pelicans. We heard all the rumors about him wanting to be traded. And apparently his side of the story is the following. He went to the club and said, hey, look, I'm not signing here after next year. So I'm giving you a heads up that if you want to get something for me, you might want to trade me.
Sounds like he's doing the club a solid.
He did not want it to go public, but it did. The Pelicans then proceeded to troll the Lakers, and honestly, the Lakers made offer after offer after offer. The Pelicans made them all go public, let them all go public, leaked all the offers they made, and had no intention of trading Anthony Davis.
Because they thought the Lakers were tampering with Davis in the first place.
Yeah. And then the Lakers had a lot of internal dysfunction because all these players thought they were getting traded. But again, his side is, I'm not going to be back, so you may as well trade me and get something for me. The Pelicans have responded. They started responding by sitting him out and saying, look, he's our asset. We're not winning anything right now, so we're going to sit him because what if he gets hurt? The NBA has told New Orleans, we have a rule, and we're allowed to fine you if you sit perfectly healthy players within reason. Like the Pistons weren't going to get fined for not playing Henry Ellenson. But if you're sitting a player that should be playing, they can actually invoke fines on your organization.
When you're a top 5 player in the league and you're able to play, like, for instance, I don't know, maybe if you show up at the All-Star game and play in the All-Star game,
right,
you're probably well enough to play in a regular season game.
But with that said, whose side do you have here? Do you have who's in the wrong? Is Anthony Davis in the wrong for saying he wouldn't re-sign there? Is New Orleans in the wrong because they won't play him? Or is the NBA in the wrong for telling him you have to play him?
If I have to believe the story that Anthony Davis has laid out, that he is the one that went to the front office and said, look, guys, I'm not going to re-sign here. I'm giving you a heads up. I'm not going to have my next contract in the NBA have me playing with this organization. I got to tell you, I can appreciate that. Obviously, he doesn't want to string them along. Doesn't want to give anybody any false hope. He's giving the organization time to make a trade so that they can better themselves, knowing they're going to lose one of the top 5 players in the league. Just keep it quiet and go about doing your business and make a blockbuster trade without anybody knowing that you would come to them in the first place. New Orleans mishandled this. It never should have leaked and gotten public. Never.
Well, I don't know that they leaked it.
Well, someone leaked it.
Someone did leak it.
So I'm just saying, if I'm believing Anthony Davis's story, and a part of that story is that he didn't want it to get out, or just kept it between him and the front office, then I'm all team Anthony Davis and not team Pelicans. The Pelicans wanting to sit him out, I understand you're going to want to protect that asset, but that's ridiculous. The guy's completely healthy. He's ready to go. He's an attraction in this sport. No one team or one player is bigger than the sport. You're always trying to grow the sport. So when you go on the road, people want to see him play. By the way, I bet you still the majority of the fans in New Orleans would go to watch the Pelicans play because Anthony Davis is on the court, even knowing that he's not going to be there.
I got New Orleans back on this one, the organization. I think you should be able to sit a player that's your asset that's told you he's not going to re-sign. You say, fine, you can't play. Davis says he wants to play. You're going to get something for him in the trade market. What is the point of playing him? Meanwhile, edge towards the top of the draft, edge towards Zion.
Yeah, well, I guess there has to be this competitive spirit clause in the NBA that you have to play them. And I agree with that. We talk about tanking all the time. We have for years. We've been talking about tanking in the league, and the NBA.
Hot topic in sports.
And the NBA is really the league where you talk about tanking because you see teams do it all the time. This is so overt and so obvious of what they're doing, and I think it's shameful. I get that you're upset that this guy doesn't want to come back and isn't going to play with you anymore, and now you want to protect him from injury, but it's not fair to the rest of the league, because what you're doing is now you're removing him from this team. What's the record? I don't know what the Pelicans' record is without Anthony Davis, but I'm pretty sure it's not good. And here they are in the Western Conference, and they have the third worst record in the conference. And, when you add the Eastern Conference team, the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th worst record in the NBA, you might see some teams passing them now, because obviously they're tanking to get the best pick that they can get now. They're not going to play this guy who's one of the best players in the league. It's unfair to the rest of the teams in the league. And if you were a team like you're jockeying for a position and you're trying to get to the 3 seed, and you're playing, and you don't have any more games against New Orleans, but the teams above you do, and those aren't competitive games anymore.
No, it's not fair. But if you're New Orleans, what the hell are you supposed to do?
Play
your
him.
star play. Well, no, hold on.
All right.
Your star player has told you, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to re-sign here. You have 0 options now with him. You can let him play itself out, which is useless. I guess you could try and convince him to change his mind. But the only thing you really can do is hurt your own club. You're hurting your team by winning more, and you're potentially hurting your team by exposing this guy to injury. There is a market for him right now, and there'll be a market for him in 3 months when we get to the offseason, 4 months when we get to the offseason, and teams will start bidding for him because you're going to put him on the trade market.
That's all fine, and I can agree with all that, but there's a rule in place, and they're violating the rule.
I don't think the rule's fair. I don't like the rule, and I think
but it's a rule. I don't like how they call traveling, but it's in there.
The league is overstepping its bounds by telling New Orleans they're going to invoke this. When, by the way, they know this happens all the time. It's just happening earlier, and it's more overt by New Orleans because their player has told him he's not going to re-sign there. All you're doing is hurting yourself by playing him. I have no problem with New Orleans. If I were
potentially
New Orleans,
hurting yourself.
I'd say, well, you're potentially hurting yourself because he might get hurt.
That's it.
But you're absolutely hurting yourself by winning more. You can do it behind the auspice of saying, I don't want this guy to get hurt. You know what I'd do if I had New Orleans? I'd say, fine. Fine me. We're sitting him. And I would applaud the organization for doing it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's a way to usurp the rules that are there. I don't like it. I don't approve of it. I don't like tanking in the NBA anyway, how it's been done. When you have this particular situation with a star player and you're going to sit the star player out, I think it's crap. And by the way, Davis, it's not like he's being a diva about all this. He's not demanding a trade. He didn't demand that at all. All he did was inform the team that has his rights through next season, I believe. Hey, look, guys, I'm not going to resign here. Just want you to know this. I'm being upfront. I'm not going to resign here. He does them a solid by giving them the heads up so they can move him. Now, maybe that was a bad move by Davis. Maybe he should have waited until the end of the season, then gone to him and say, I'm not coming back. I'm not going to resign here after this final year of the contract, and then he can move him in the summer. That's the only fault I have with Anthony Davis is the timing of when he told the ball club.
248-539-9797.
Well, I think he told him because the trade deadline was coming up and said, hey, you want to move me now, you can, because I'm not re-signing, like you said. That's why he let him know now. And if you believe everything, they didn't want it to be leaked, and the Pelicans didn't want it to be leaked or whatever, with Wojnarowski nowadays, you can't keep anything a secret in the NBA. I mean, that guy drops bombs on the daily. He knows what's going on. You could do your best to keep this in-house, but it's going to leak somehow. And that hurt the Pelicans, obviously. This is not like back in the day when you could all of a sudden trade a guy and never knew he was on the block. But as a fan, how would you feel? What I'm wondering as fans, it doesn't have to be Anthony Davis. It could be the Pistons want to sit Blake Griffin, or the Wings want to sit Dylan Larkin until they trade him. Healthy players that should be playing, that publicly come out and say, I'm healthy, I want to play, or I'm healthy enough to play.
Well, here's the other thing with Anthony Davis, because they were trolling the Lakers because they thought the Lakers were tampering with Anthony Davis. I think that's what this is. This is still the same old giant finger in the air to L.A. in particular. They didn't get any deal done at the trade deadline, and L.A. still thinks they got a shot to land him in the offseason. This is the big finger to them because they're saying, nope, now every team in the league in the offseason has a crack at our guy we're going to have a much bigger market for Anthony Davis in the offseason than what we did before the trade deadline.
If Nick Castellanos has like 23 home runs as we approach a trade deadline and the Tigers decide to sit him, I'll applaud him. Say, no, he's done enough. He's hitting .320 with 23 home runs. Well, his numbers are in. What do you give us for him? 248-539-9797. Got some Red Wing trade stuff we'll get to at 11:20. 97.1 The Ticket.